So it's 3:05. I believe we can start, and then if anyone joins, we can loop them into the discussion. So my name is TAREK MAHFOUZ, and I'd like to start first of all by thanking all of you for being part of this webinar and being here in these very, very busy times and challenging times. So as you've seen and you know from the topic itself, the whole idea of this webinar and these series of webinars that ATMAE is holding is simply to put our minds together, put all of our experiences together in these challenging times, and start sharing the lessons learned, discuss what are the problems that we're seeing coming up, and maybe we can figure out what are best ways of mitigating these and dealing with them. What are contingency planning that's happening for the future, how the future looks, and much more than that. So really, 1 hour is not enough to discuss everything, but I mean, we're all here to pick each other's brains and hopefully from an administration point of view, we can all be better as we go on with trying to carry out our tasks in this current situation. So that being said, I'd love to start with quick introductions, so at least that we all know who is everyone on the call. I'll start by myself. So as I said, my name is TAREK MAHFOUZ. I currently serve as the Associate Dean for the College of Architecture and Planning at Ball State University. And I do have the honor of serving currently as the chair for the board of directors for ATMAE. And for the last few years, I've chaired multiple leadership positions within the university, including University Senate and other councils. So that's me.
My name is Mehran Mostajir. I'm with Columbia State Community College, and I'm the director, program director of Engineering Systems Technology.
Thank you for being here, Mehran.
Hi, I'm Marcia Wheeler. I'm the Director of Institutional Effectiveness at Ozarks Technical Community College in Springfield, Missouri. And currently we have one program accredited through ATMAE, and we are working on our second and third.
Thank you, Marcia, and thank you for having these programs accredited through the association. And it's greatly appreciated, and it's a great value-added item to the association. Thank you.
Hello, this is Devang Mehta. I'm an interim chairperson at the Department of Graphic Design Technology at North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University. And I have been a member of ATMAE since 1998, so about 22 years. And I also visited several universities as a ATMAE re-accreditation team member to assess their programs. So it has been my pleasure to be a member of ATMAE and also serving on ATMAE accreditation visiting team member, and also being part of this presentation to attend this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Devang. Thank you for all of your support. I appreciate it.
My name is Heishan Lawrence. I am currently the interim associate dean here for the Souls College of Business here at the University of Texas at Tyler. And I am the past chair of the board of directors for ATMAE.
Thank you, Hisham. I learned a lot from him. So if there's anything that goes wrong under my leadership to this association, you can blame Hisham for it. Just saying.
No comment.
Hi, Monique Bracken. I am an instructor of Office Management Technology at the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. I'm fairly new to ATMAE. I've been with the group about 2.5 years. I did my first accreditation team visit last year, and I have another one that I'm trying to navigate this year during all of this online review. So that's kind of why I'm here to kind of discuss how this is going online.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Jim, Karen?
Hey, this is Jim Thompson, the Executive Director for ATMAE, and just appreciating the fact that you guys are spending some time with us today.
Hi, this is Karen Miles. I am the Program Director for ATMAE, and I am glad to be here to hear your discussion and learn more about how COVID is impacting all of you.
So thank you all again for being here. And as I was thinking about this and talking to Jim on the logistics of how we're going to run this and thinking about what different prompts that we can put out there, so I found out that I have plenty of questions and issues to really raise and pick your brains and have a continuous discussion about these. But just to start, as you know, that when COVID-19 hit us all, it just disrupted everything. And as we all know it now, there's going to be a new norm over the coming period of time and might be extended for some time. So, I mean, as soon as that hit us, there wasn't a lot of information that's been out there or that's been disseminated to everyone to understand what's going on and to really know the extent and the context of what's happening and how does that impact higher education and institutions of higher education, the 2-year, the 4-year institutions as this happens. And then suddenly, all of the institutions are started going into a complete shutdown. So moving everything to online platforms and other mechanisms and of delivering the educational component. And then information started to become clearer a little bit. So we started to learn more about what the virus is, how can we deal with it, and we can do all of that. But again, that caused a lot of anxiety, caused a lot of distress to students, to faculty who were just asked to pivot right away from being face-to-face, doing what we all love to do and what we've been doing for some time, to just shifting to a different modality that has been there for some time, and some faculty were actually doing that, but others didn't. And then students were hit with that unexpectedly. So that created a lot of challenges for all levels at institutions, including the students, the faculty, the staff, the administration, and plenty of things. There has been a lot of questions about accrediting bodies for all of the different programs and how can they deal with that and how can they manage the changes that are happening. And different accrediting bodies came out and started loosening a little bit their criteria and kind of going with the flow and adopting what universities and institutions are doing. As informations became clearer and clearer, we've all been hearing about budget implications. And since states are not being able to generate the revenues that are expected from taxes and other items because of the closeouts that are been happening, then institutions have been hearing about expected cuts that will be in their budgets for the coming years. And that trickles down and starts causing multiple implications. So again, that has a tremendous effect on administrative duties and other aspects and all of that. Other things that we're hearing about is students burnout, what they define as student burnout. So students who have transitioned to online, the expectation is that there is about 10% drop in enrollment that over the coming period of time, because of the burnout, because of the fear, big factor, because of the anxieties, because of the mental health of students, a lot of them would decide, they went back home, they started working, and then they would decide, well, this is too much. I need to take a year break and then come back, a semester break and then come back. So that's all affecting revenues, which means there's a tremendous effect on administrative duties and how's that going to be handled and all of these. So with that all being said, the way I was looking at this, and again, this is just an idea out there, and you can disrupt that discussion and move to something else as you want and raise other questions. But I was looking at this from two perspectives. We've gone through a period where we have been all performing, we have pivoted, we have learned a lot, and we have done a lot. And that would be lessons learned. And then there is the future projections of really how do we expect we're going to keep dealing with this situation, and what are the implications of that as we move forward, and contingency planning and all of the other aspects that relates to dealing with the current situation of the COVID-19 and its impact on higher institutions, enrollments, recessions, economy, effects of that, all of these things. So I was thinking that we can start throwing some ideas about these and then start dealing with these, if everyone is fine with that, or we can pivot into something else or discuss in a different way. So I'll start by saying, under lessons learned, I look at this as there are students, faculty, and staff and operations that are happening. So one of the things that I would hope that has been happening well at all institutions, and I personally faced the challenges in my institution, was really how have we all been reacting to anxiety, to students' anxiety and expectations as they shifted from the current modality that they were in to a different modality with the shutdowns, when they had to leave dorms and all of that, expectations of faculty on that shift, expectations on promotions and tenures, evaluations, merit reviews. So there are plenty out there. And how we were able to handle that, how the information were disseminated, and how efficient was that from everyone's point of view.
Well, I'm from our perspective, one of the things that we're doing currently now is to kind of, I guess, reassure the students is one of the initiatives that we're trying to do is gather as much PPE, protective equipment, for the fall. Our summer classes are all online. We're not going to do any face-to-face classes, even with our labs. And so we've had to come up with different ways to host labs virtually and get the students to do their projects. And we're working on that. We had a seminar 2 weeks ago, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, about how to handle labs through ATMAE. So we're in the process of trying to get a lot of PPE equipment, not only for students, but also for faculty. One of the issues we had here was I'm used to teaching both face-to-face and online, but the university has certain departments where individuals have never taught online ever. So our biggest hurdle was getting some type of training in place so that we can train those individuals to adjust to teaching online. We use Canvas. So we had trainings to come up. Our tech guys were open and willing to do training. We did training virtually online. Here's a link, here's some exercises you need to do, here's how you set up your Canvas account. That worked very, very well for us. Other issue that you brought up, TAREK, is tenure and promotion. we had this conversation about a week and a half ago, and it's continued, and we've come up with a solution. Don't know if it's the right solution, but it seems to be okay with the faculty and staff that I've had opportunity to talk to. We're going to go to an opt-in or opt-out option for those individuals that are currently in their tenure clock. That means that you can either opt in to continue the tenure process with the time that's given to you, or you can opt out of that option and still do your research, still do things that's needed and necessary for you to go up for tenure and promotion. That has helped and ease a lot of our faculty minds, those individuals that are definitely in the tenure window. Research is going to be difficult for a lot of our faculty members because we can't do a lot of traveling right now. So a lot of our travel has been limited to just in-state or pretty much just local. Also, a lot of things that I've noticed with the COVID pandemic, there has really been an increase in communication. And I don't mean just picking up the phone and having a conversation with someone. We have done a lot of virtual meetings. We've done a lot of Zoom meetings. We've done a lot of emails. So I think the new norm has become individuals communicating effectively via Zoom or via an email. All of our students have access to our webpage. We have put on our webpage an update COVID link. So any decisions that we make as far as the administration is concerned, we put that out to the students. Graduation, we're in a process of determining when we're going to have graduation. Well, we need to let the students know so they can kind of prepare for it and have an idea of, you know, are we going to have graduation or we're not going to have graduation? How is it going to look? So I think with COVID, we have become more creative in our ways of helping our students. We still have had our Honor Society banquet. We did it virtually. We did it through Zoom. We had the students come on and, you know, we presented them with their certificates. And of course, we can't physically give it to them, but the students appreciated that. And that gave them an opportunity to talk to some of the deans and the interim associate deans and associate deans that they might not would have had in the past. I attended a honors lyceum awards banquet. The students were there. They were able to have a conversation and talk to their faculty members and their research partners. And I think that is becoming the new norm. So we've done a lot of stuff. Some has worked, some has not worked. I personally wish we would have acted a little bit quicker as far as getting the training out to some of our faculty members. Even some of the information that we've discussed in our meetings, I wish we would have gotten it out a little bit quicker to our students. But you know, no one anticipated this pandemic. So that's one of the things that I wish we would have done a little bit differently, is being able to make a quicker decision based off the facts, not just hearsay or opinion, but get the facts and let's make a concrete decision and move forward. So that's just some of the things that we've done and kind of discussed.
Thank you, Hisham. And we've done similar things, but before I jump in and say what we've done, I mean, others who have any comments or would like to share?
I think from our point of view, to tag along with what he said about you wish you would have had plans in place sooner and communicated those. For another one of our accrediting bodies, they wanted a timeline of everything that we've done for this pandemic. And as we started working on it, it was March 3rd, this is what we decided. March 5th, that was rescinded and we decided something else. So we did let a lot of people know, and I don't think none of us realized how fluid it was going to be at the very beginning.
Sure.
So our communication has kind of slowed down So we see if it's going to be the same for 2 or 3 days before we say a whole lot now. And I think the overload of information at the beginning kind of scared or frightened some of not only our instructors, but our students as well. So we kind of had the opposite happen.
I'll quickly say what we've done. So for us, the first thing that I believe that actually Ball State was very proactive regarding the situation. Although definitely some students and parents disagree with us, but at least from my point of view. So the first thing that we really have done is that we felt that there has to be standard points of contact. So just to eliminate the he said, she said as much as possible. So we created a task force that was assigned by the president right away, which included an individual from each college, as well as an individual from each VP division that we have. And that these were the pandemic team. They were the point of contacts for everything. If there are questions coming from the colleges, they go to the point of contact. There is a daily meeting that we used to have. Now it's slowed down, but there was a daily meeting that happens at noon. All of the questions are raised. These questions are taken to the cabinet. If not discussed right away, an answer is found. And then an email would come down. There was a cabinet meeting every day at 2. So the questions are answered and discussed at that point, and then they come back. And that addressed a lot of things from student workers. Do we keep paying them or not? Because that has federal implications on them. From faculty presence, who should be there and who's not, including promotion and tenure, including other things. And we did do an opt-in, opt-out, stopping the clock kind of option for promotion and tenure. We addressed similarly for students and anxiety. So we came up with policies for credit, no credit, allowances for specific. I mean, we all have these policies, but we kind of extended this policy. So what we've done is simply we allowed students after they know their grade. So May 3rd until May 13th, they can actually send out and ask to have their classes to be credit, no credit versus 4 credit, and it goes into the GPA. We clarified the criteria in the handbook and the faculty handbook, and we've worked with all of the departments to come up with what courses can fit into that, what courses cannot go into that, so that students are not, and we came up with policies and procedures, and that applied to plenty of other things that were done that way. I think that eased the anxieties and provide more of confidence to the students in how this is being handled. Right now, these communications, I mean, we've had plenty of communication. Right now, these have been dropped to once every 3 days, these meetings. But there's plenty that happened over that time, and I felt that this was very proactive. At least there is a very clear line of communication for everyone on how to define these issues and talk about them. We're doing similar things with PPE. So we're gathering, but then we also identified there's a task force in the university that works on providing PPE because we're looking into the fall. So all purchases, all items are being done through one group to provide all of these for the entire university. So it's more of a central unit that gets disseminated further into others. Other things that others have experienced differently or felt that this was a great lesson to learn or way to do things.
Yes, Tariq and all. Can I share my experience and thoughts?
Sure.
On this one? Yeah, I think means I agree with Hesham and Marcia and you also regarding how you guys handle this COVID-19 situation at your universities and we also went through the same, same scenario. After a midterm grade, after the midterm, or I think in the spring break. After the spring break, we heard that we need to go, online. So just we heard on Thursday in our college meeting, and we all be online in the next week from Monday. So that's how fast it happened, And we rely on part of that. We rely means we are, our university, North Carolina A&T State University. That's part of the UNC system. So you all might be, aware of that. The UNC system, we have about, 17 universities. So whatever they decide means we need to follow those things also. So we were in that situation. Suddenly, that's we had to cope with the change. Everything, face to face to online. And I'm in the College of Science and Technology. We have other, science departments where they have lab courses. So, and that's kind of difficult to manage. So some faculty members had those questions regarding labs and also about research. That's how to handle research in this situation without going to a lab and to meet the deadline. So that was a challenging thing. But we also, I think, handled the situation, our university and our college very well. Like, for example, we organized several in our college and at the university level also, several training workshops on Collaborate, on Responders lockdown browser, and on using Zoom. So that helped a lot. Additionally, our university and our college also provided laptops to our students, or if they need any other resources in order to learn from their home, and if they don't have those resources. So we try to help our students. And also I taught some classes also, and some students had that problem, not having the resources. So then I asked him to, I helped him to borrow a laptop, and that worked very well. And he borrowed that laptop from our university. And I agree with Hesham regarding communication. Yeah, communication has gone up tremendously. I mean, 2 to 3 times, I usually spend about 12 hours in front of the computer, always there, morning to evening, and I don't have like any fixed schedule. So always there to answer students' questions, because in this types of situation, also students, as you mentioned, Tarek, you mentioned about anxiety and other problems, and also they may get panic if they don't get answers in a timely manner, then they will be frustrated. And right now the time it's at our university, means next week, that's our final exam big time. And also some of those final projects were due in this week also. So those types of things, so need to handle very carefully with students, and we try to help our students. We also pass that message. Means I'm in the interim chair of our department, so pass that message to our faculty members. That's please try to help students. Please listen to their problems, and also we discuss about the issue of cheating. So it's difficult to handle online when we teach online, but nowadays we have the browser like Responders lockdown and some other tools that that may I won't say that's 100% perfect or eliminate the cheating issue, but may minimize some of those things. And looking forward, then now our summer courses, the summer 1 and summer 2 both are online. And regarding fall semester, we are thinking about coming back on campus, but with some restrictions so far. So our administrators and the UNC system, came up with these 3 plans. Plan A, maybe normal face-to-face. Plan B, with social distancing, and Plan C, maybe online again. but now this time they decided to go for plan B with social distancing. And that's a kind of more challenging than plan A and plan C, 100% face-to-face or 100% online. Now we have to deal with social distancing. That means we need to have bigger classrooms or labs. We need to divide our students, or maybe, you know, need to think about hybrid courses, or maybe need to open up more sections. And then another problem is associated with hiring more instructors. So there are all types of issues. And our chancellor has formed a committee at our university, and several committees on research also, and on teaching also. And they are going to work on how to deal with some of those issues when we come back in fall with plan B, that's teaching courses with some restrictions. And regarding research, so there, you know, several faculty members had questions about research also. So we usually don't allow anyone to come on campus, only in a very needed condition or must condition, if they need to do their, you know, research. And hiring is also suspended at our university. They are not hiring most of the positions now. So that's the situation at our university. Thank you all.
Thank you, Devang, and I'm really glad to hear all of that. I mean, I'm not glad, but it's that we're all facing the same exact issues. It's exactly, we have done the same exact thing. So I serve on 2 task forces that are actually looking at the facilities, classrooms, capacities, densities, all of these things with social distancing, as well as the programming and offering task force for the entire university. So we came up with multiple, we have an A, B, C, and D, and E. We have multiple contingency plans. So especially because governors are now moving into opening the country. So in Indiana, where Ball State is, the full opening of the state is scheduled throughout 5 phases to be July 4th. So if that happens, this means that in fall, we're face-to-face. But we're working on, so that's an option. It's face-to-face with restrictions and social distancing. And if you think about it, if you maintain 6 feet between students and faculty and all of that, you're really losing anywhere from 45 to 55% of each capacity of the class. And then we're thinking about what happens with large classes when you have the 100 and more students in one session. So should we do an online session and then break it down into smaller classes where you have the face-to-face component? And then that takes us into faculty loading. And then how do we load for these? So exactly all of the issues that you're looking at. And I would like to say that we thought of more of trying to look at this not as really a problem, but more of as time for innovation. So, and I'll say that, throw that out there. We have looked at multiple models that we're trying to implement, something like a 2 8-week semester or a 3 5-week semester. And the ideas behind these were, I mean, they have their cons and pros, I mean, and goods and bads, but the good thing about it is that you can actually start face-to-face for the first 8 weeks or the first 5 weeks, and then you have multiple pivot points within the semester where you really can transition into something else, because according to all of the literature and experts, we might be hit with another wave comes October or around that time, especially when the flu also hits. So that would allow us to have a pivot point where we can transition to doing the second 5 weeks or third 5 weeks or the second 8 weeks as online only. So we're asking all faculty to prepare their courses to be on Canvas, to be ready to go online if need to be. And we're coding our classes in that way also in the systems, because according to accreditation for the entire university, you cannot deliver, I mean, you have to deliver the course according to what you've informed the students and how you coded it in the system. So that brings another level of difficulty. If we said online, we have to deliver it online. If we said face-to-face, we have to deliver it face-to-face. So we're coming up with more of a translucent coding that can transition if we do any of these pivots. So these are all things that we're all trying. I mean, we're facing problems now with faculty who opt to teach online and just out of anxiety or fear, they don't want to come to campus. And we're trying to work with them and integrate that into making their classes to be online. We worked on adjusting the offering and the sequencing of classes so that classes that have heavy hands-on lab-based immersive learning, community engagement, design build components, we either try to move these towards the spring and adjust the sequencing of classes, or try to work with the faculty so that they prep that this becomes the last part of the semester, so that maybe we're back and we guarantee that we're going to be back. Even if we shut down for another 2 weeks midway in the semester or something, we can come back later and still continue the delivery. So these are all things that we've thrown out there. I don't want to take all the time. I know that Monique had a question about accreditation, and if anyone else has any comments or other issues, I mean, I have plenty of questions and issues that we can go through, but others who would like to raise concerns or issues that they have and want to ask how others are dealing with.
I actually have another kind of question based off of what you just said. What are some of your programs doing right now that are those more technical, hands-on type programs? My program's doing fine with the transition online because it was more in the management side, but our automotive, welding, those that they physically have to do those. Do you have similar programs, or do you guys have similar programs, and how are you managing those?
I mean, I would say us at Ball State, we have some similar of these programs, not very extensively in that manufacturing component, like the automotive, but we have the engineering components. We have in all of the other disciplines, similarly, like music and theater and CCIM communication and all of these. In architecture, we have plenty of studio-based and design build and all of that. So we've done few things. As I said, we've shifted the modules within the time schedule itself so that we can actually work with the students do that. We're doing very cautious social distancing activities with the students. And then lastly, we actually have a very heavy and renowned program for virtual reality and augmented reality. So we actually had our institute create, which is actually, luckily for us, it's hosted within my college. They created for us more of virtual reality simulation kind of setup that we are starting to use that and hoping, I mean, we're testing this right now as a classroom setup where you can have things done on sort of a 3D virtual reality component where individuals are participating, they have avatars and other things like that. I know that there was a discussion about that maybe 2 weeks ago. Hisham, do you have other experiences that you can reflect on?
Yes, sir. I know we have a fluid powers lab, we have a welding lab, we have industrial materials lab. We don't have an automotive one, but I do know, Ms. Monique, I don't know if you have access to it. Not, then we may need to get Jim or Ms. Karen to send you the actual recording. And I cannot remember the young man's name, but they teach an automotive lab. And he actually showed us in that webinar on I can't remember, last week or week before last, the software that he uses in his automotive class.
It's Electude. I had to write it down last week.
Yes, thank you. And it seems to be perfect. The students, it's a simulation of a vehicle, of an engine, and they have to go through and they have to check the current, the voltage. You can disconnect something, you can rev the engine, you can spark plug, you can do stuff like that. The only thing that this young man did mention was a downfall is that you can't, the software, you can click on one button and the alternator gets disconnected. Obviously, we know in real life, you cannot just click on the alternator and it comes off the car. But I think the students can understand the basic concept of automotive ingenuity, how to change this, how to adjust this, how to measure that. If you need that link, once again, Miss Marcy has it. Elect 2, thank you so much. And the guy's name is Mark Lennon. So I would contact him.
Yes, that's actually my university. I knew our automotive was using that. Our welding was one that they've talked about having a little bit more issues with trying to get them practice, I guess, and understanding and physically doing a weld.
The only thing we did with we had it. I don't know if we still use it or not. Is we had a virtual welding machine, and the students seemed to do very well with that. That's the only thing we could come up with. We even had one at the ATMAE conference where the students had a competition where they did the virtual welding. So that can kind of help. Again, you can never replace physically being outside in the summertime welding, or in a classroom welding. But to get the basic concepts, I think that help. And one thing I've stressed to our faculty here, we're not the only ones going through these situations. So there are businesses, there are accreditation agencies that are seeing the impact of COVID-19 on our students, on the resources that we have. So I think they're a little bit relaxed. I'm not gonna say they're just whatever the case may be. But I think if the students still have the basic concepts, they know welding, they have an understanding of what an arc weld is and how to, how much oxygen versus this. And I think that'll work.
Okay,
one of the things that we have done is when we immediately went online, they put as much of the theory and inspection things for welding online. And then we were able to open up our campus, and this is the second full week. And the students who are closest to graduating and need that the extra practice or whatever you want to say before they take their credentials and their exams and everything. We've been scheduling those. It's been a logistical nightmare, but it's worked out pretty slick. So we have limited number of students in the lab. And we have also given our students until November to finish these classes. Most of them will finish them this summer. So they get all their welding training in.
Okay, I think that's what they had talked about trying to do as well, is extending it and then doing more individual or small groups so they could do their practice.
Yeah,
in
and
the lab.
It's a little easier because in a welding, you have the little booth, so you're kind of protected there anyway, but instead of going next to each other's booths, they put 2 or 3 in between. So yeah, it's been an interesting study in logistics.
Yeah, and we've done something similar in our design build labs and simulation labs that way also. And I can attest that it's a logistical nightmare because I was coordinating that.
I just wanted to bring in something else that pretty much the issues that we have had is very similar to what all of you have discussed. One of the things that we ended up doing is we had students that they were about to graduate this May, and we had issues with them because they obviously don't want to come back. We cannot give them extended time, but they did agree that they would come during the summertime. So we are going to, similar to what Ms. Wheeler said, they can come to our lab, and our lab is sort of separate from the main campus. So we are sort of able to handle it that way. So that was just one thing that I can add to whatever everybody else has added. So that's basically what we're going to be doing to go through the process once it is being approved, hopefully, to have all the PPEs and everything ready for them. Then very few students are allowed, maybe one per machine and things like that, to be able to come and at least be able to do their lab and hands-on one that we could not simply accept them not doing that, but just simply allowing them to finish the course. So that was just one other thing I want to add to that conversation.
Roughly, how many students do you have graduating?
Right now, but the numbers are not many, so it's like 8.
Okay, okay. We were considering that option, but I'm in charge of doing the graduation approvals, and the last I checked, we have roughly about 20 students that are graduating. So it would have been, like Tarek said, a logistic, and such as Ms. Wheeler said, a logistics nightmare. And also too, our students, they're gone. They're like, I'm not coming back. I refuse to come back. I don't care what you tell me. I'm not coming. So from administrative perspective, we had to consider, we can't make them come back. We can't. So we had to come up with an alternative solution for the students that were graduating that didn't complete their project. How are we going to accommodate those individual students? And we found a very creative way of doing a virtual lab, or our lab, our department chair, Dr. Miller, for industrial management, he recorded every lab and put it on our canvas and said, okay, this is what you need to do to successfully, and I hold them quotation marks, successfully pass the class. Watch this video and answer a couple of questions based off of this video. And again, it doesn't replace the actual physical being in the classroom, but it allowed those students to still get that basic knowledge. And from administrative perspective, that's not something we wanted to do, but we knew for a fact that if we told the students you had no choice but to come back, that was not going to be good at all.
Yes, I agree with what your assessment is. Fortunately, since we are a community college, our students don't go far away, and they're pretty much still around. And before I informed them of that decision, I spoke with all of them, and they all actually were okay with it. So, and provided, again, we have to just do all this, making sure everybody's okay. But I understand exactly what you're saying, and I wish we would have been able to do that. But the programs that I looked at, in particular for the mechatronics, and I really couldn't find a good simulator program for them to use to do that, because most of it has a lot to do with programming and just hands-on and things like that. So that was the reason for that decision. But who knows, within the next few weeks or months, maybe we can find a simulator that we can actually help us to pass that hurdle as well.
Have you heard of Tooling U?
No, I have not.
I would look into Tooling U. That was something that we considered. I think Ohio, I was getting confused. One of the Ohio universities. I think they've begun to use Tooling U. My colleague Neil Littell, he works in that department, and I think they've had some success with Tooling U. Okay. We're looking into possibly doing Tooling U for some of our labs. It's fairly, I don't know the financial implications of Tooling U, but just having a conversation with Dr. Miller, he's considering it, and you can use it in perpetuity. So something you may want to look into.
Thank you. Would you mind, and the chat part, just spelling it out for me, if you don't mind?
Sure, I'll do it.
Thank you.
So other questions, comments? I have a much larger issue to throw at everyone, but.
My question was how we are going to handle accreditation visits now that they've, I guess, kind of been moved online. I'm meeting with my team in a couple of days. We've gone over all of the information, but some of the things, not quite sure how we're going to assess them on paper, or maybe they didn't have that in the report and it was supposed to be in a resource room. So has there been any discussion on that?
Jim or Hisham, didn't we, wasn't supposed to be another webinar that's only for accreditation, right? Is this coming up? Or was that the last? Yeah.
It is. It is. Next Wednesday, we've actually got the director of accreditation for ATMAE and then actually the chair of the accreditation board that's going to be on a call to talk about that.
Okay, I think I'm registered for that one also.
Yeah. What I can say in general, because I mean, in my college, each program is accredited through a different accrediting body. And the licensure, all of that. I know that a lot of them, what they are doing is, as you said, they are asking to have everything that's actually electronically delivered, vetted, and anything that's missing, this is the leniency piece, anything that's missing, they are trying to work out the visits to be very limited in terms of the number of personnel. So maybe one individual would actually be going to a visit at a later time. So they would be getting conditional accreditation upon confirmation of these final pieces. And then an individual, when possible, would go in just directly to check the missing pieces. So it's not to do the full vetting process of the accreditation and looking at everything. It becomes very specific to the items that they were not able to deliver online or electronically.
Okay, that would be helpful.
So other questions, comments before I use the last few minutes to throw at you a major one? Okay, budgets. Since we're talking administration, I mean, we've all heard, and as I said at the beginning of the discussion, I mean, we've all heard that there will be budget cuts, there will be budget implications, and it's not only the state appropriations or the funding that the universities or institutions are getting, it's also the expected loss in student revenue, because as I said, the literature indicates about 10% burnout, so 10% of the students are not going to be registering. There is a concern for high school students who are graduating, that their parents are saying, if my students are going to be going into an unstable situation that we really don't know if it's face-to-face, online, all of that, then have them take a year off work and then come back to the process. So that is going to generate revenue losses. Retention, students who couldn't cope or went back home the last period of time and started working, and then courses are conflicting with the work that they're doing, so they decide to take another, like a year off or something. So all of these are causing loss of revenue, as well as the appropriation. So were there any discussions at any of the institutions about these and how to deal with them?
Yeah, I can share about our university. I mean, we ask our students to leave our campus after the spring break, and so now I think our university or the UNC system, they are planning to refund to those students about housing and mailing. Yeah. So that's kind of loss to the university. So that's so they are worried about those things.
Yeah. At Ball State, we've done the same thing.
Right.
But I think that one of the major things that were done at Ball State to try to mitigate that a little bit, they were giving credit unless they are graduating.
Okay.
So the graduating ones got the money back, but then the others got credit to their bursar account or financial account so that they can use later.
Yeah, I think the same way for travel,
Yeah.
So means I also made our our travel plans international, so we had to cancel, and so now we are getting credits only, so we have to use.
Yeah. I'm on the same boat, trust me. I'm on the same boat.
Yeah, so. I know for us, our conversation pretty much just started about 2 weeks ago about budget constraints and budget cuts. So so ever since then, I've been in meetings to try to figure out. We're trying to be proactive. At least my department is. My college is trying to be proactive. We're trying to look at what are some of the things we can cut back on, just in case we do have that. Okay, from the president's and provost's office, we need 5% here. We need 10% here. What are some of the things that we can cut back on? And it's unfortunate that this pandemic happened, and the aftermath is budget. We're going to have to, travel is out the question. That's just not going to happen. We actually are on a hiring freeze right now. If your paperwork has not already been approved, or if an offer letter has not already been extended to you, then we're on a hiring freeze. So a lot of things that we're doing, some other universities may think is drastic, like we're shutting down some of our buildings. If it's not going to be used, then why have the lights on? You know, and so some of the things that we're doing, we're trying to conserve as much money as possible without laying people off, furloughing them. And it's tragic that we have to, you know, consider that. But what alternative do we have? And I know our students, there was a big conversation. Some of the students that were staying in some of our apartments, the apartment owners would not refund the students. And so our administration was like, no, you have to refund them their money. You can't, they're no longer staying in your apartment complex. How are we going to accommodate the students that are not there because of COVID? So that was an argument in the debate that took place. It took several months for the apartment complex owners to come to an agreement. So no one wants to give up money. No one wants to hand back money to somebody. But the reality of it is that with COVID, we're going to have to look at budget. We're going to have to look into giving somebody their money back, and figure out a way to move forward with that decision. It's difficult, but.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we've started, as you said, around 2 weeks ago, Hisham, looking at different scenario planning, and these are not easy times. I mean, we're unfortunately, as you work on these, you get to the point that you understand that, well, it depends on how much is the final percentage that would be mandated on us. I mean, we don't know yet that. We have like ranges. Okay, maybe we're going to be between 5 and 10%, somewhere there. We don't know yet until we know what's our appropriation budget and the actual enrollments that we're getting and revenues. But when you start thinking about planning for these, like, okay, so if I'm hit with 7%, what's going to happen? If I'm hit with the 10%, what's going to happen? And the 5%, what's going to happen? You get to a point where you just find out that, unfortunately, I have to lose people. It's like, and that is the most devastating point. And on the other hand, I have a department actually that if they don't hire, I mean, we've gone into a hire freeze or critical hire only situation. But I have a department that if they don't at least hire 2 contract faculty positions, they will not be able to deliver their classes. They have been having, like at this point, all of their intro classes are filled up at capacity, and we haven't yet started freshman orientation and registration. We're starting this in 10 days. So I'm expecting to need to add at least 2 intro sections in each of the 2 programs within that department, and they need faculty to do that. I'm back to teaching full load.
Wow.
That's my department, so I'm back to teaching full load. The department chair is teaching full load to help with that, but it's extremely tough.
and we're looking at our summer, and we come into some harsh decisions. Do we offer a class? Do we not offer a class? Do we cancel it? How do we look at the student to budget ratio? If you have a master's level course that only has 4 people in it, is it a required class? Do you teach it? Because you got to
Yes.
pay an instructor. So
Yes.
it's the conversations
Are
that I'm
tough.
involved in now, very, very interesting. They're tense. They're hard decision type of conversations. So, and there's no easy answer. There's no, this is absolutely the best way to do it, because you don't know. You have no idea.
Yes, I agree. So to be respectful of everyone's times, I mean, I'm glad that we've all got to put our heads together and to really see that we're all facing the same challenges, but hopefully we're gonna all be creative to find the best way out of them. And we all understand that, as Hisham was just saying, some of these issues are not easy to be handled, and there's gonna always be a tough discussion and a contentious one there. Any final questions, comments that we can address or talk about? Jim, we're scheduled until 4, right?
That's right. We're still till 4 o'clock. So, but
Okay.
if everybody wants to go a little bit, you're fine.
Sure. So any final comments, questions? Okay.
No, I'm good.
So again, thank you all for this. I really appreciate that we've all been able to discuss these issues. And please feel free to send us any questions that you have or issues. Maybe we can hopefully address them and say what the collective wisdom of individuals say about these and the best practices that we're seeing all around, and we can definitely put that out there, or maybe at one point of time we can put an question answer or FAQ, for example, about different issues that we can extract from these webinars and put them on the website. So please let us know if you have any questions or concerns or issues that we can help answer or discuss.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank
All right,
you.
y'all be safe.
Let's have a great week.
Sure.
You too.
You too.
Yeah, you too.